Alrighty, alrighty, alrighty. Let me just make sure it's working before we go on. Alrighty. Now, let's get to our topic tonight. And come right over here. And I'm really happy tonight. It is the month of March, the month of some of my very favorite goddesses. We had a celebration for Isis, my mummy, on March 5th. We talked last Monday about some of the very bestest goddesses you should know. I'm not including, although I probably should, I'm not including Isis in this 5-part series for March because I talk about her so much. You'll really get a very good feel for her if you pay attention as we go along. So I am including 5, aside from Isis, of the bestest goddesses you should know in your life to really help you live your life to the fullest and have a life you really love. So tonight we are featuring Hathor. Now, she, like Isis, is an Egyptian goddess, and she can be seen with the beautiful solar disk and horns on the top of her head. She's also shown with big pendulous breasts flowing with milk. She is actually a cow-headed goddess. So she really is all about nurturance and sustenance of her children. And interestingly enough, it seems that Hathor, in many ways, predated Isis as the as one of the most powerful goddesses in the Egyptian pantheon. And according to some folks, that as time progressed and as Isis became more and more feminine, she took on more and more of the roles that were actually ascribed to Hathor in the beginning. And Hathor switched a little bit away from where she originally started. And I find this kind of interesting because when we think about goddess veneration on the planet, right? We all know that the earliest veneration of anybody, any deity on the planet, was basically Mother Earth. Okay, because Mother Earth provided all of the sustenance and all of the shelter and all of the clothing, all the food, all the everything that we primitive humans needed to survive. And she was often depicted with pendulous breasts, big hips, because she was also the goddess that gave birth to everything, right? So this was not an unusual way to look at the goddess as the heavily pregnant woman, or the woman who has just given birth and who is now providing sustenance and succor to the children that she has created. And so it's not unusual to think of that kind of great goddess being represented by someone like Hathor, who does have those pendulous breasts and hips, or maybe even comes with a cow head. Because when you think about it, where did we first get, aside from humans, that kind of idea of providing sustenance? Is from animals, right? We can look at the animals that are around us and see how they birthed and fed their children as well. So it also seems to me that this would be a great source of divine inspiration for us humans. Okay. And so when we think of Hathor, though, Hathor has morphed a little bit away from being the goddess solely of kind of like childbearing, child rearing, nurturing in that way. And she has really taken on a little bit of a different kind of role as time has gone on. And instead of viewing her solely as a place of sustenance, we're also looking at her in terms of finding our love and beauty. She has become a goddess of love and of beauty. And so, let me just find my place here. Hang on one second. And I want to tell you just a little bit more about her. However, she has disappeared. Thank you so much, uh, Isis and Hathor, for playing tricks on me. Okay, here we go. Here we go. The mommies have got me back together. Okay, so here we go. So now, one of the things that we really want to think about when it comes to Hathor is bringing love, music, feminine energy, and joy into our lives. And what Hathor is now teaching us is that these things are not luxuries to be um, consumed only when the time is right. Like when you're thriving, then you can have love and music and dance, art and companionship and the divine feminine. And at all other times, we're supposed to be focusing on getting our basic needs met, that kind of survival mode. And Hathor reminds us that we can embrace our radiance, the radiance of our wombs and every other aspect of our bodies. She reminds us to embrace our sensuality and the art of receiving. And that's a question that I want to ask each and every one of you listening is how easy do you find it to simply enjoy yourself, particularly in times like now, which are completely and totally stressful? Have you found yourself saying that this is not the time for jokes? This is not the time for laughter. This is not the time to embrace each other as human beings, regardless of our circumstances at the moment. How many of you have said no to joy? Now it's time to reverse that and to come back into ourselves and recognize that without joy, love, creativity, dance, art, all these things that make life worth living, that is the problem, not our outward circumstances, but our inward circumstances where we feel so maybe put upon and maybe so lost in just surviving day to day that we give up all of those great aspects that make our life worthwhile. I'm going to ask you another question. How many of you listening right now find it difficult to simply receive? And I think particularly when times are hard and we feel as if, if we are blessed in the slightest, we should be giving. We should be seeing what we can do for somebody else. But when it comes time for someone to give to us, we refuse. We say, no, 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 no. Not for me. I can't even tell you how many people I know who can't even receive a compliment from someone else without trying to turn it back into, oh, well, this old dress, or, well, someone so helped me with my hair or makeup, or, I didn't really do such a great job, I had help from so and so and so and so, without being able to just say, thank you. Thank you. And so we have to allow ourselves that place of reciprocity. And that is the reciprocity is the thing that moves our life forward. No one should always be the giver and the other person be the receiver. That really doesn't work. whether we're talking about um, always being the one giving to our community and not allowing the community to give back, or being the caretaker in the family and never allowing someone else to caretake for us, whether it is being the mom and never letting our children do for us. And you'd be surprised how much satisfaction, growth, and personal development children will get from taking on the responsibility of doing something for a parent, even if it's something as simple as making a breakfast in bed for you on your birthday or Mother's or Father's Day. Children love to take on responsibility and do for those people that they love, who love them in return. Okay, so today, March 10th, I didn't know this until a few minutes ago. I went on Facebook. And these days, we're having all kinds of boycotts and social actions and this and that and the other thing. And what I saw was that today, March 10th, was Black Women's Rest Day. And I thought this is the most brilliant and beautiful idea that I have seen. And even though I did have a very restful first part of the day, um, it was not done on purpose. It was just that's the way things worked out. But I love the idea of Black women in particular having a day of rest, because we have always been the women in this country, in the United States. I don't know how it is in other countries, but in the United States, Black women have always been forced to work. Laws have even been passed to make Black women go to work while white women had leisure. And I think to some degree, we can also say, even though that law was passed for Black women, the way things go for Black women goes for almost every other woman of color. So, in a way, um, if Black people women were forced to work, so were Asian women, so were Hispanic women, so were Indian women, so whatever nationality you can, so were Mexican women, so whatever you can think of. Um, everybody was forced to work while white women stayed home and had leisure. And so to turn it on its head and say, okay, it's Black women's leisure day. We're not working, we're not getting up, we are relaxing, we are doing self-care, we are just having a good time for ourselves. It's so fit in with the idea of celebrating Hathor on this day. And so what she is asking you to do is to get in that place where you can embrace pleasure, rest, enjoyment, and that you can embrace them as sacred acts of self-love. And that is basically what Hathor teaches us overall, is that love in all of its forms is a sacred act. And we have to stop judging ourselves for what we need in order to relax, rejuvenate, to live in joy, to live with pleasure. All of those things are sacred acts. And to be perfectly honest, in ancient goddess temples, there were always women who were the teachers of pleasure to men, to other women, and to explore their own sensuality, their own enjoyment as sacred acts. Okay. So now let's get into a little practice that we can use so that we can add sacred love, joy, happiness to you. Okay. So we want to set the mood, put with your favorite music, or something that makes you feel divine, and take a moment to dance or simply bask in your own radiance. And when we say you can put on something that makes you feel divine, that can be your own skin. Okay? That could be maybe a little sheer robe. That could be some silk pajamas. That could be one of those moo that everybody wears now, and I do love them, right? Um, and as you play your music, if you don't feel like dancing, just move it any way you want to. Put your hands on your own body wherever you want to. And remind yourself that through this affirmation, I am worthy of joy, abundance, and love. I am worthy of joy, abundance, and love. I am worthy of joy, abundance, and love. And when you honor yourself, you become magnetic to all that you desire. So now let me ask you this question. And I want you to really consider it carefully. Okay? And I want you to let me know what is one way you have of bringing joy into your life every day. If you don't have an answer to that or an easy answer to that, I want you to find an easy answer to that. I want you to find one thing that you love that you can do or eat or wear or incorporate into your life that can bring you joy every single day. And here's my suggestion for documenting the joy that you find in your life. Okay? And here's what I would suggest. I love to get like one of those, oh man, I thought I put over here, a mason jar. And on the mason jar, I want you to put a label. And on that label, I want you to write joy jar. And every time that you feel joy, that you feel happiness, that you feel just like in the zone and you feel happy and sensual and sexy, I want you to write down what's going on for you. You know, today at the supermarket, a cute man smiled at me and I felt really good. To write it down, put it in the jar. Um, uh, Today I took a luxurious bath and I felt really good afterwards. Write it down, put it in the jar. Um, I got a new job today and I felt very well. Write it down, put it in the jar. And anytime that you are feeling not quite your best, where you're feeling you're like, I really could use a pick me up, I could really use something that's going to make me feel happy about my life, because everybody has setbacks. Everybody has times where things just kind of get, you feel low, you feel not yourself. You can open up the joy jar and start to read some of the things that you've put in there that have made you feel really good in that year. And if you date them, you can see sometimes maybe it's this time of year that I feel low. Maybe you have like seasonal affective disorder or something where you naturally just feel lower during the winter months and you feel really great in the summer. And that can help you understand which times of the year are naturally times of the year where you're gonna need a little help feeling that joy and that enjoyment of life and that feeling of abundance and being taken care of and feeling self-love. So this can also help you to figure out when you're going to need a little extra to really make you feel happy, comfortable, and enjoying your life. Okay? So we really want you to continue to love yourself, to honor yourself, to connect with the Goddess Hathor. And you know what I find interesting? And here is the Goddess Hathor again. This card comes from the Doreen Virtue Goddess deck. And one thing that I've noticed is, I was saying how Hathor started out being such a mighty presence. Not that she's not still a mighty presence, but when I have looked at other goddess decks, Hathor is not always there. So I'm wondering what that says, because the only deck that I have of goddess cards where I found Hathor was in these Doreen Virtue cards. So I think in some ways, when I notice something, I always look for the universal message in it. And that message may be the fact that we are feeling so much less joy and sensuality in our lives, right? That we need to really recall that and bring that back into our lives, be very conscious. We talk a lot about self-love, and it seems like, for a lot of people, self-love means I went and I got a mani-pedi. Or even if I went to a spa and I had a great, experience there, I don't go home and continue to bring myself different kinds of pampering at home. It also doesn't mean I don't do any self exploration, which is the true self love, right? When we get down into how do we really love and care for ourselves, it's always got to be from the inside out, not the outside in. So if you're not doing any shadow work, if you're not doing any delving down into your psyche and into those shadows, then you're not really performing self care or self love. If you love yourself, warts and traumas and everything else all together. And so if you're only willing to skim that surface, the skin area of who you are and your self-development, you're doing yourself a disservice. So Hathor is reminding us, especially by getting into the body, right? Not just what we're thinking about, but getting into the body and getting into those energetic centers that surround the idea of joy, pleasure, and self care and self love, that we have to delve deeper into ourselves if we are to be truly loving to ourselves and embrace every aspect of ourselves, not just what's on the surface, not just what we haven't bothered to delve into, but all of ourselves. And so I invite all of you that are listening right now to do just that. And if you would like to find out how you can do that with me, I'm going to leave in the comments a link where you can set up a free 15-minute discovery call with me to figure out what you can be doing to bring greater joy, abundance, and life into your life. Okay. And so if you liked what you heard tonight, please subscribe so that you can get uh, our information every Monday, the Radiant Womb, every Monday, every time, same Goddess channel. And we will see you next week, where we will bring you the third goddess that you really need to know in order to live a great 2025 and beyond. Thank you so much for being with me tonight, and I will see you next time.